So my name's John Rose, and I spent most of 30 years working for Olympic Property Group and Pope Resources. Pope Resources got purchased by a company called Raydient. I'm with the subsidiary for Raydient called Raydient. This presentation is being put on by us, the Kingston Rotary, and someone who is going to be a mystery and surprise guest we will announce later. And you better be good. Okay, so here's what we're going to go through tonight. There'll be some details on the meeting, on how it's going to work. I'm going to talk a little bit about life after the merger from a small company to a really big company. My therapist is out there. He told me I had to do this. And then we need to set the stage, because this meeting isn't just something, and this idea isn't something that just plopped onto the earth. And there's a lot of new people in North Kitsap that don't know the history, and we're gonna do a little history lesson. The other thing we wanted to do here was a little bit about the past, present, and the future of all the conservation efforts that our company and a host of other people have been involved in here. So we're going to do an update on everything that's happened. And so everybody will be coming from the same page and with the same background as we exit the auditorium peacefully. There will be a question and answer. There'll be a question and answer period. And we are really, really packed on this presentation. This took months to put together. This is kind of our biggest shot to talk to each other. And we cannot rush through it. Okay. Plus, there are tables set up in the back. And I want, those people staffing the tables, and I want enough time before we get kicked out of here that there's time. So this is not a small crowd, and there will be time for some Q&A, but what we're doing is on July 12th, there will not be enough Q&A for all you people, all you questioning people. So July 12th, we're gonna have this same meeting, 6 o'clock at this same location, and it will be nothing but Q&A. And if you've got concerns and all that, but we have to be out of here by 9 o'clock. And that means we need to quit this around 8 o'clock, so we can clean up and get moving. And I can't do everything, and I'm not asking you to stay for 3 hours. Even I wouldn't do that. There's going to be a straw poll. So, folks who are supportive, you can stand up, and I'm going to ask you to shout your support. For folks that are mostly negative, I'm going to ask you to stand up. We are being videoed, and your affirmation that you support the idea, it doesn't mean it's an endorsement, because it's only an idea at this point, could be recorded for all time. And your opposition will be recorded for all time. So everybody can say, look, I showed that dude something. So that's what's going to happen. This is the part where the audio-visual breaks down. Okay, the past. In the year 2000, Pope Resources, who was the largest landowner in Mason, Jefferson, and Kitsap County, owned 8,000 acres in North Kitsap. If you look at that really close, you can see almost all that land is broken up into 5-acre, 10-acre, 20-acre lots. Some of us, and we had a board of directors, Pope was public, we had a board of directors that really wasn't in touch with North Kitsap because they had acres all over. And we said, this is not going to be very friendly to our industry. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, this is going to be like Bainbridge Island in 20 or 30 years. People are not going to be supportive of our work. Even though this economy originated with fishing and timberland and mills, those days have gone by, and the people that move here now ain't gonna love you. So we gotta get moving. So, exactly, and totally coincidentally, this is the third meeting on June 27th. Also, in the Farmer's Almanac, this is the friendliest date in the year. Really worked good. Nobody wants to look at that. Okay, this is where it all goes to heck. It really is. So, we had a meeting. It's this exact kind of meeting where we just asked a question, just like we're doing right now. That's all we did was ask a question. Do you want to work together so that some of Pope Resources' lands ends up in your hands? It was just a question. And that's all we're doing tonight. Because if you don't like the idea, we're out of here. We don't, my company did not put me up to this. My company thinks I'm crazy. But I've been living here for 30 years, and every year I'm looking for ways where we can work with a company and make the community a little better. But it has to be a win-win. Well, you Facebook guys are kind of mean. It's a company. It isn't the savior. It isn't a park department, and it's not Bill Gates' private land. We are owned by 1 million shareholders who get on the case of our board of directors. And we, as lowest level staff, can't just go give the land away, for God's sakes. It's North Kitsap. They're special. You are special. But if I said we're going to give the land away, that would be the last day on the job. And people are very cynical about companies, and it's for the shareholders, and I'm a little cynical too. But here's how it matters. I'll give you an example. 10 years ago, Raydient, the parent company, about 5% of their investors were from Europe. Today, with climate change on the agenda for everybody, with carbon sequestration on the agenda for everybody, and now 20% of our shareholders are European. And they ride our board and say, we're counting on you to figure something out, because you're the one with the land and the trees. Read an annual report, get educated, it's a real thing. I forgot one thing, and that was like all the business of the meeting. Because I'm not too good at these. Okay. Officer Fenton is here. Officer Fenton is making sure we have a peaceful meeting. In her words, I am small, but I am mighty. Plus she's got a huge taser. We have Olympic ambulance outside waiting for whenever you're done with me, whatever you do. There's a pony keg and 3 gallons of scotch. You guys are going to be famous. Nolan is videotaping all of this. It is going to be on our website once we really get the website up and running. And as I said before, this is only putting out an idea. I don't have, what's the stormwater, what's the wetlands, what's the zoning rules, what's the comprehensive plan? I don't have that. And in 2007, I didn't have it either. I just came up and said, do you want to try working together? Because if you don't want to, we're out of here, and I'm spending company money trying to do a cool thing. So if you don't want to, it's cool. That land that we're talking about, and all Hope Resources remaining lands except for Fort Gamble, we've already broken those into 20-acre lots. We can sell them tomorrow. And if that's what you preferred, by all means, speak up, be heard. I respect differences of opinion. But if you want us to take a pause and see if there's something better, I'm not going to get a bonus for this. They think I'm nuts. People wonder about the Florida company. They're from Florida. You know Florida, man. He's crazy. The company's CEO is Mr. David Nunes. Dave Nunes was the CEO of Pope Resources for 7 years, and he lives on Bainbridge Island. He did not put me up to this. We're very different kinds of people. He runs a company. I just have project ideas. I just like project ideas. We're going to have a 3-step evaluation project, and please, when the charts come in and it gets dull, please stay with it. We will have a follow-up meeting on July 12th, because I want to get through the content, get you out in a reasonable time. We will be here and stay. If you want to come on July 12th, get here at 6. Charlie, who you don't know yet, Clint from the Rotary, and I will sit here and answer every question. And if we need a meeting after that, we'll have a meeting after that. You cannot out-meeting us. It cannot happen. There's a website, I'll give you the address later. Past the 8,000 acres, the backside of me, barn-like.
Good evening, trail people. Good on you guys for showing up tonight. Woo! To come out to talk about something that we could do together is pretty inspirational, and my staff and I, on behalf of my staff and I, thank you very much. This is very heartening. Good for you. My name is John Rose. I'm with Olympic Property Group, and we are part of Pope Resources. And for folks that aren't so familiar with our story, us and our predecessor company, Pope and Talbot, have been in these parts for over 153 years. The company started in this area in Port Gamble, and Port Gamble today is the last company-owned town in Puget Sound and is a National Historic Landmark District. Our company has 2 pieces to it. One is the real estate department. That's Olympic Property Group, our group. But far and away, the most important part of our company is the tree growing part and the timber part. Our company today has about 150,000 acres of land in Western Washington. In the year 2000, we only had 75,000 acres of land. So that side of our business is growing. North Kitsap County, we have 8,000 acres. And our group's chore is to help advise the company, all right, if it's not really the core part of the timber, what's going to happen to it? What's the long-range plans? Let me put to rest any rumors, because I've heard about 10 rumors at least. Nothing's going to happen overnight. This effort is part of long-range planning for our community, long-range planning, and to see what role these lands could play in it. We're here to start a dialogue. We're here to hear back from you. We're here to get feedback on do we have ideas that are supportable, or do we have an idea that has some reality to it and some merit?
So, here's where it ended in 2007. So all that land that was yellow, much of it has changed colors. So up in Hansville, we still own about 800 acres. It's all split up into 20-acre lots. It has been for 20 years. It's right next to the Port Campbell-Swellam tribe, and we worked with them and sold them, because we're right adjacent to the reservation, about 800 acres to add to their reservation. You see that cool little red squiggle? That's the mountain bike ride park. The big green thing. That big green thing is the Port Campbell Forest Heritage Park. That park is 3,600 acres and has 1.5 miles of waterfront. All right, then we come to the Divide, which has got an arrow to nowhere. It's about 400 acres. It's in 20-acre lots. This thing. That's about 420 acres. Then there's about 175 acres that GPC bought. Go GPC. And then there's the North Kitsap Heritage Park. The first half of that was, we closed on it with the county in 2004. And the plan, the reason the county bought that property from us was because they said, you know, we're running short of athletic fields. And I still have old plans that show the athletic fields, and so they bought that and did not build fields in 2004. Then the second piece of the North Kitsap Heritage Park is there, and the clicker doesn't click. So that got sold around 2014-15. Arborwood, everybody's favorite, is the thing with the measles. Okay. This is the most incredible part, thing I've ever worked on. This is, without question, the highlight of my career, being part of this. And why did it work? Because for 5 minutes in our little history, all of these people and groups that often oppose each other came together. I think we have Representative Drew Hansen in the crowd. Please notice, Drew is standing close to an exit. Look at, and there were more, I forgot some of the groups. And beyond that, there were hundreds of volunteers, hundreds. So anybody in the audience, if you ever baked a brownie, if you ever cleared a trail, if you ever went to a community meeting to tell people about the sound bowl, if you ever worked on that, could you raise your hand? Everybody else, thank those people. They did it. I had the idea and just walked away. Those are the people that made this thing happen. Unsung heroes. I owe these guys so much. The community didn't have nearly enough money to pull this off. And they asked us, can we just buy the land and you keep the trees? That was not our idea. Because people come up to me and they say, oh, we let you keep the trees, didn't we? Who in their right mind would want to harvest trees in a county park? 0 people. 0 people. We didn't ask for that, you did. And guess who paid the price? That faceless man. If you are in EMBA or NKTA, you have worked with Mike, Sean, and Kate, who have done their harvest while trying to make room for trails. And they need a huge round of applause. I can never pay them. I owe them. I did this to them. When people came to that first meeting, we said, who wants to work on it? And 50 people said they want to work on it. And so what we did is we founded a group called the North Kitsap Trails Association.
Yeah.
NKTA, 100% with volunteers. That's it. If you did hire consultants, that's a $250,000 document. It's all volunteers, and it's so professional and well organized and well stated. And NKTA went around to every single community, and they talked about the string of pearls, because the idea of the string of pearls was, let's try to unite North Kitsap on a series of trails. Let's have Paulsbone, Port Gamble, and Indianola. Let's all come together and have a common trail system. You may live in a pearl, and you didn't know. And NKTA went around everywhere. They took the beatings, like I might be taking the beatings, and everything is in there. And the county adopted it with a formal vote of the Kitsap County Commissioners. They voted for it. I was the first president, and I got off the board right away because of the conflict of interest. But we did pay for chartering it. Second president was John Millett, right there. And after that was Linda Mary Murray. I don't know if you know her, but holy moly, she was just an asset. All right, we're gonna get a little edgy. The Sound Olympics Trail is a concept that we came up with. And it is the idea to go from Bainbridge Island to the Hood Canal on a paved trail. That's the idea. It just so happens at the same time, this is 16 years ago, another effort was happening across the nation, the Rails to Trails. And the idea was to go from the East Coast to the West Coast. That was the idea. That concept of a paved trail is under attack, and I know some folks out there are really happy. It would be happy if it didn't happen, and bless you, and I don't disparage your different point of view, but down in Olympia, the person who we got a grant from, has been having visits with people that don't like the STO. I happen to like the STO for very personal reasons. When I started with the string of pearls, part of the reason was me and my wife and 3 kids had to go to Seattle to bike without having our family run over. And it's no better today. 16 years, no better. That's what we want to avoid. That's what we're shooting for. Clallam County's got it. Squim's got it. We don't got it. So, one of the reasons I care about this is personal. Another personal reason. And it is for handicap accessibility. I care about that. This woman cares about it. She wrote an article in the paper and took a chance and was brave. And she's a double amputee, and now she's found cycling as her way to get outdoors and get exercise and be healthy. That's my sister Melanie and me and my brother. She lived in Spokane before she passed about 7 years ago. We'd go out and visit her, and we would go walk for hours on the Centennial Trail. And she had a chance to get out of a nursing home and ride in a peaceful place and enjoy nature the way you do. She has a really nasty disease called Friedreich's ataxia. 2 of my niece and nephew came down with it as well. It's genetic. They live in Southern California, they don't have any chance for this kind of trail. They have no chance. So I'd like some help. I want to know if anybody, I'm going to Olympia. And this is personal, I'm fighting for that STO. Does anybody care to come with me? Anybody? Thank you. NKTA has a table set up. Please indicate that you're interested in a little field trip. It's going to be a lot of fun. And the thing is, we got that grant fair and square. The STO was in the 2011 String of Pearls plan. It was all been talked about for 16 years. And, you know, people come in and they don't like it, that's their right. I'm fighting for it. More updates. On the Port Gamble Mill site, we and the Sklallam tribe worked together on a mutual vision. We now sold 16 acres of our development rights on the mill site. That will not have homes on it, that will not have any development on it. It's going to be restored. There'll be some trails. And why does that shape look like that shape? It's because when we put all of that into conservation, we eliminated any possibility that we would discharge stormwater directly into Gamble Bay. No stormwater into Gamble Bay. Now we're going to be able to discharge Hood Canal, which has a greater volume of water and greater resiliency. More updates. 2022, a group of citizens banded together, worked with Forterra, and they bought 756 acres of our trees in your forest. Yeah. Every park needs a master plan. By my figuring, Kitsap County spent well over $500,000 putting together an awesome plan. They went and did open meetings. They had meetings after meetings, they had meetings about the meetings, they had meetings just to think about meetings. They were online, they were in person. They went to adopt it, and then litigation was threatened, and they stopped at a dead standstill. No master plan, no forward movement, dead in the water. They're going to try to roll it into some other thing with some other county process. But now it's stale. It's already a year and a half old. The ideas are already getting stale, and nobody's doing a thing. After all, your money was spent on that plan. The present, can we bring the mood up? All right, the String of Pearls, the Sound Olympics Trail, it lives on. And there is a new effort called Puget Sound to the Pacific. A lot of acronyms in the trail world. A lot of acronyms. And so there's a coalition that has banded together, including NKTA, or PTC, and the Bainbridge Parks and Trails, which has too many letters. And the idea is to realize this dream of being able to bike from the Kingston or Bainbridge ferry out to the Pacific coast, because I want to do that every week. Imagine this headline. Rails to Trails Success. East Coast to West Coast. It's the pride of the nation. Oh, except for Kitsap. Well, what about Kitsap? I'm going to get one, or we're not going to have it. We're going to go rails to gravel. 2 weeks ago, Mountain Bike Ride Park opens up. It's historic. Built by volunteers. All these new parks cost a fortune to buy, and there's no way the county would have the funding if they didn't have volunteers cutting trail, holding meetings, and organizing stuff. All of this happens because of volunteers. And EMBA, leader in putting together this mountain bike ride park. But how do you get to the mountain bike ride park? I'm not biking to it. I want to drive to it. Good news. We're minimizing the exercise. You know, I'm gonna be the chubbiest guy in that mountain bike ride park. This road is being built right now, and it is part of our agreement that we had with Kitsap County. So Pope and the county had an agreement to complete the string of pearls. And it means money's going to be spent on both sides. This is a $5 million road. It's also going to serve Port Gamble. It's under construction now. You should definitely not go there until it's finished. And then we're going to have a party. And we're going to have a real party. So that farm you see there, that's the historic Babcock farm. The Babcock family came from Maine in the 1870s, and they raised dairy and produce and, of course, oxen for logging. The market for oxen died, and there are no more oxen. But there will be a road there, and our plan calls for wineries and restaurants up on that farm. But we preserved every single acre of that pasture. Completing the string of pearls, this is the collaboration agreement with us in Kitsap County. It was finished 2 years ago to zero fanfare. There's too many things to go through. It will be on our website. The big news is Raydient is contributing 4 miles of trail. We're also contributing parking lots. So you know the sand pit? Pretty gnarly parking. I always open my door when I come by. But that's one of the areas we're going to contribute land for a parking lot there. Up in Hansville, for you crazy guys in Hansville, we're going to have a parking lot there. And there's some other parking lot. Some in Port Gamble. All right? Let's get serious again. This is the future, and this is almost the future, barely the future. This is the land in question. If you go out there, it's parts of dark orange. And in the spring, a lot of it was yellow. The yellow star is the Sotomayor Trailhead. That is the system of trails. The sand pit, you see? Let's talk about the sand pit. That's going to be another hard thing. The sand pit is not owned by my subsidiary, it's owned by another one in Raydient. And it's been a sand pit that's been permitted for at least 5 or 6 years. And I can't touch it. And I can't bring it into this project. I can't do it. Someday, they want to pull sand out of there. I'm out of that. But I will certainly take your aggressive reaction. Okay. It's a different part of the company, and when you work for a really big company and you're used to Pope resources, I don't have any pull. All right, derailed. Man, I heard a lot about derailed. Derailed is out of the project area. Then there's the sand pit. Then there's the 400 and something acres. That red outline is the only place with decent topography. And, you know, we need flat places if we're ever going to do fields. So, and it also makes the very most sense because that's got highway access. And I know many people would prefer a sports complex in the middle of a subdivision, but we're not doing that. So it's highway access. There's no way that's going to all happen unless there's a major new intersection improvement. No way. It's either going to be a roundabout or a twirlabout, or there's going to be a light. DOT loves roundabouts. Those roundabouts that you see, that's a minimum of $2 to $4 million for something like that. Better like those fields. Details about the land. It's completely subdivided, has been for 20 years into 20-acre lots. There's about 21 parcels. If you look, you'll see that this road was, these lots and parcels were designed so they could access right off this road. Up by the sand pit, there's a road right next to derailed, which also gives access to all the lots. public utility district water. We have a water main. The zoning is 1 dwelling unit per 20 acres. It's called rural wooded. The topo varies. It's wooded, there's clear cuts, there's trails, and there is 0 acres of public ownership. And this is the work we do in all of our projects, whether it's a subdivision, starts with an idea, that's where we are tonight. But we already know that the biggest issue, if this project ever gets off the ground, the biggest issue is water quality in Port Gamble Creek. And if we don't hit that right, if we can't adequately mitigate for water quality, we don't get a project. Port Gamble Creek is really important to the S'Klallam tribe, and it's important to our company because it flows right into Gamble Bay. It's important to our company because between the two companies, we spent $45 million cleaning up Port Gamble Bay. And we want to keep it clean. Traffic will be an issue, it's always an issue. Wetlands, streams, steep slopes. There's an aquifer recharge area. Holy moly, what do we do about that? An aquifer recharge area is an area that has particularly sandy soil, so when rainfall hits the surface, it doesn't run off, it goes into the aquifer. Really important to maintain that for water supply. Rural character, nobody wants to feel like Bellevue, zoning and the Growth Management Act. We think there's a way to make all that fit. We have professional attorneys and land planners. Our land planners are kind of professional, but they're a weird group. And wastewater treatment. So we have water, but how do we get rid of waste? And that's part of the water quality issue. That's going to be big. Luckily, we have ways to clean the water, and we have soils that can accept the water. Up in Port Gamble, we had an old wastewater treatment plant that used to kick out effluent to Hood Canal. In about 2012, we partnered with the KPUD and got a brand new wastewater treatment plant, and we pulled that outfall out of Hood Canal. No more outfall of Hood Canal. And where does it go? It goes to a membrane bioreactor wastewater treatment plant. And that actually has all the treatments a normal wastewater plant has, but then it pulls it through a microfine filter and it polishes it to nearly drinking water standards. I won't drink it, but it's nearly drinking water standards. Way better than what's ever in your septic system. Way better. And then we had a big deposit of sand up in Port Gamble, so we actually put it back in the ground. The KPUD liked the idea because it recharges the aquifer. So now we know where it goes. It's important. If we don't do this, then, and we don't have to do this, but I mean, I gotta find a reason to bring to the company to say work on this. You know, they have literally millions of acres, and every community would love them to just give their land away or do a deal on trees. And why does a company have to make money? Well, I would be gone. There'd be no string of pearls. What would we do without the pearls? You can't, you know, I live in a world where you gotta do things that are acceptable to everybody around the table. I don't have a private tree farm. I would like to have one. What about those trees anyways? That is a tree farm. Every single Douglas fir that's big was planted by hand 35 years ago. Planted by hand. It was cared for over 30 years, culverts maintained, roads, thinning, continuous garbage removal. and public access that you guys have enjoyed for decades. It's really easy to get on Facebook and say, I'm just gonna clear cut it. Well, are you gonna go to a farmer that grows row crops and say, you're not gonna harvest those, are you? And the thing is, the difference between our farm and row crops is we got deer, we got cougar, we have bear, we have the highest apex predators living on our farm. And that farm has been harvested 4 times. 4 times, and still the wildlife. It ain't pretty, man. It ain't pretty. I know it's not pretty. It's shocking. But it's a business, just like every other farm is a business. I don't have the right to give things away. We're going to have to be a little more creative. Finally, the future. God, it's about time. But first, I want to know how many people here are retired from or work for a company in private enterprise. Put your hands up. Okay. Is it okay for you to give the things you do away? Does the owner say, hey, just give that stuff away? We have to be way more clever than that. I mean, anybody can give something away. But that's what we did with the pearls, and we found a way, and my company was treated well, and the public was treated well, and we all did an amazing thing. So it's giving stuff away, man. It's about creativity, and that takes a lot of work. Writing checks doesn't take work. All right, a lot of concern about the Paulsbo Entertainment and Recreation Center. And by the way, I do not do Facebook comments. I don't do them, and I don't want my staff to do them. And I told them they don't have to do them. I'm paying somebody, a consultant, to monitor Facebook and just give me a report, because I ain't reading it. It is really, really upsetting. I'm not doing it. And if you want to land a blow, you have. But a lot of concern about PERC. And it's like, well, how's this going to jive with PERC? That's the Paulsbo Center that has been trying to get off the ground for years. We're not going to hurt PERC. You know how the String of Pearls happened? It happened with collaboration. I would love to take the city of Paulsbo on as one of our partners. Nobody's trying to win with more fields. I got more fields than PERC. No, these fields are expensive. Every field that has to be built on this costs money. Every field that can get in Paulsbo is something we don't have to work at. We're 100% behind PERC, and if you never heard it before, you hear it right now. Our hand of friendship to the city of Paulsbo. Why else are we having this meeting right now? The only way to figure out a business plan is you have to do studies. You have to dig holes, look at the soils, do stuff like that. You have to have traffic counters and wetlands people. Could you even imagine if I sent backhoes out there and didn't tell you why? Oh my God, what are they doing? They're digging a hole in my park. That is one of the reasons we're here tonight. Because until we know where wetlands are, till the ground condition, till we do traffic counts, we can't put together a business plan. But if I start sending backhoes out there, it's going to be pickets and helipad. So now you know why they're out there. All right. It's about idea time. It's about idea time. That's what tonight is. And tonight is also being recorded because I need to gauge support for the idea. And if you're down on it, I'll record that and I'll tell the company that the community doesn't want this. They just don't want it. It's okay. Yeah, what she said. So you can kill this tonight. You want to kill it? You can kill it.
What is the idea?
Oh, jeez. This guy with his ideas. All right. This is something we're going to talk about in a future meeting. It's called lot clustering. It's where you take a 20-acre lot and you make it a 1-acre lot. And then you have all this green stuff. That's either going to go to a homeowners association, or in this case, might be contributed to the Fort Gamble Forest Heritage Park. Or it might be contributed for fields. So here's the process. We're at meeting 1. I'm going to give you numbers, you got to know, this doesn't grow on trees. This cost us about $10,000 of web and all that stuff to put this meeting on, rent the hall. And then the officer. She's worth it, I feel better. So meeting number 2, if we're still alive, is going to happen in the fall. Because we're going to need a lot of time to do wetland studies and that. When we finish those studies, we're going to have a meeting right here again. Okay? Wetlands, all that stuff. There's no hiding. I've seen comments like, well, they're hiding something. That's why they're having a meeting. They're going to hide it right in front of us. No, we will share all the studies, and they'll be on the website. You can see every bit of it. You can't do land development in a secret. That was like movies in the 30s with guys with cigars. Everything is public. Every single document is part of the public record, and you can make a public record request and get our wetland study and do things with it. Okay, I would like to have all your ideas, if you have any, by the time we have that meeting. Because after that meeting, we go to meeting number 3, and we're going to have our land planners, God rest their pointy heads. And they're going to do some designs of what this thing, whatever it is, could be. And if that's the point where it's another go, no go. I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this off. I mean, for reasons just not because of opposition, because I don't know if there's wetlands are going to kill it or traffic's going to kill it. I don't know. You have to do a study. And that's a go, no go point right there. You just lop its little head off. Right there. Step 4 is we're going to have partners. And we got to have lawyers. It's really boring. But we have to have legal agreements. And it may be with 3 or 4 or 5 organizations. That is super expensive for everybody. I'm not spending company money unless I feel like you guys want this. Step 5 is the county process. $400,000 to $800,000. We're not doing it unless you clearly say you're going to support it. And if the county commissioners say they're going to support it. We're not just throwing a wild hair out there. We don't need it. And then step 5 is construction. I have no idea. Just sit on this one for 1 minute. This isn't my idea. Who moved here since the String of Pearls, 2007? Who's new? Come on, up with ya. Up with ya. Well, you're the problem. It's your fault. I didn't invite you here. And here you are, drinking our water and our air. You're taking up our space that belonged to me when I moved here only 30 years ago. How do you plan for things for 77,000 people? You have to plan for it. It's not going to drop off the tree. It's like, oh, we need a field now. Nope. There's a field. You have to plan. It takes years of planning to get ready for years of growth. That's what the GMA was for orderly planning. And that's what we're going to do if we get a chance. Let's talk about that location again. Special. There's a reason I cut this out of the String of Pearls. This is not an accident. This is a conspiracy. He knew it the whole time. The reason is that property sits in pretty close to the geographic center of North Kitsap. And remember the String of Pearls uniting us all? Remember that idea? We cut that out. 16 years ago, it got cut out. It's next to a 3,600 acre park. I understand people don't want the park hurt. It's on a transit route. It's on a state highway. There's public water, and we're not in the middle of a dense subdivision. When this land is gone, it's gone. It's gone. And there's not a lot of other folks sitting around wanting to do this meeting. How central is it, John? From Paulsbo, it's 4.6 miles. To the Grub Hut, it's 5.2. That's a marker, the Grub Hut. If it's on Google, it matters. Hansville Grocery and Provisions, it's 10 miles. They're the outlier. They're the outlier. We never see those people, do we? You ever see one at a party? Very awkward people. Suquamish Museum, 6 miles. On average, we're 6.6 miles from any of the string of pearls. On average. So what are we going to do? And I'd like to introduce, finally I'm out of here, Clint Boxman with the Raydient.
How we doing? Thanks so much for coming. Let's do some participation because we just talked for 2 hours. Are we still awake? Show of hands, kids first, because we have some kids in the room. How many here do sports? Raise your hands, keep your hands up. Any type of sport? Swimming, soccer, sport. Any activity. Adults, keep your hands up. Adults, you have grown up. Did you play sports? Raise your hand, keep them up. Those of you that don't still have your hands not up, you have kids that are participating in sports today. Raise your hand, keep your hands up. Those that have kids that have already grown up and are out of the house but participate in the sports, raise your hands. That's actually more than I thought. That's pretty much everybody in this room. As John said, my name is Clint Boxman. I am so very honored to be talking on behalf of the Kingston North Kitsap Rotary Club. For those of you that don't know who Rotary is, we are a service organization club essentially scattered across all of the nation, all over the world. We are generally very small in small communities. What we try to do is enrich our citizens and figure out what is the greatest need and how can we be a better citizen and provide services to our community. We've been around about 20 years. We've done quite a few projects, but how do those projects actually happen? The first thing is we ask people, our neighbors, church members, colleagues, people we know, what do you think the next greatest need is in our community? What's the biggest concern? What's the biggest problem? How can we help? We spend a lot of time researching things. We look around and we try to see, how can we make this work? We volunteer our time, we fundraise, we try to educate, we try to influence. That's what we do. And for those of you that are not familiar with some of the things that we've done in the past, these are just the major projects that our club of less than 50 has been a part of. We helped do the high school lights at Kingston. We helped put up the Heritage Park trail markers, which helped save a lot of 911 calls, by the way. Coffee Oasis in Kingston. We also partnered with the Poulsbo Club and Coffee Oasis. The Village Green Community Center. Anybody been there? The Village Green Picnic Pavilion. That's something we put up. And then the reader board that you see along the highway in Kingston. That is just some of the major projects we've been a part of. We've been asking questions for quite some time. And one common theme continues to come up and has come up for more than 10 years. is a sports and multi-generational recreation complex or facility. This is maybe a big idea, maybe it's a surprise to many, but it's not a surprise to us. We've been getting these requests for more than a decade. To provide perspective, on the left, that's from a brainstorming session we had in 2018. And you can kind of see this one right here. It wasn't listed in order, but it was the third most voted on project that we thought, okay, we're going to go do some research and figure out how to make this thing possible. COVID kind of derailed our plans, but that's why we're here today. John made mention of it. This is an actual drawing from the county 20 years ago, next to Heritage Park. Again, it's not a new thing. Chris Gears is the one that put this together. So why this? Why not? I have 3 examples that I've had myself with my kids in just the last year, and I think it's important for you to know. So the first one happened last baseball season. My son's 11 years old. We practiced at Polsville Middle School. For those of you that are not familiar with Polsville Middle School, there is a one backstop and base area on one end, and on the other end, there's a large field in between. There were 5 teams practicing on that space, 3 of which didn't have bases or a backstop or a place to actually bat or practice batting. That's just what we dealt with. Now, those practices are March, April, and May. They started at 5 o'clock till 6:30. Now think about, at 6:30, how much light is out? Not much. There was another round of kids coming out after us to practice on that field at 6:30. They had roughly a half hour to practice, and by the way, throwing baseballs at each other at dusk is not a good idea. But that's what we dealt with. That's what we continue to deal with. I'll expand on that more in a second. My daughter's 9. She played basketball. They shared one court with another team. Now, a 9-year-old practices on an 8-foot hoop, not a 10-foot hoop. The hoop doesn't go down. Imagine trying to practice shooting, kind of a big deal in basketball, on a 10-foot hoop. Don't know. They practice side to side rather than up and down. Comical, as I tell you this, the first game, they get to the court. They stopped at half court. The other team running down, scoring on the other court. They were confused because they were always practicing on a half court. Let that sink in. That was all season. Now they figured it out, the 2nd and 3rd and 4th games. It's a full court game. But the concept to a 9-year-old, especially those that have never played, that's a tough concept to do. I also coached in the same basketball year, my son's team, 6th grade team. Practicing was an absolute joke, trying to get space and knowing what our practice schedule was. Every single day, we had a different day, a different time, and a different place and location, and generally I didn't know in less than 24 hours. My parents hated me because it was a fire drill knowing where the next practice was. That's just this last year. That is something that I hope you have. Now coaches, there are plenty of coaches in here. If you could stand up for a second. I know my stories are not the only stories. Ask these people. Ask these people what they deal with. Because what I just shared with you in 3 different seasons of 3 different teams in just the last year, it's not the only time this happens. And it has happened to all of them. Ask them how much of a need this is. By the way, those fields for baseball, they're okay.
I just told them to stop showing because those pictures because everyone's getting upset.
To illustrate truly the need, just this last baseball year, we had over 900 baseball and softball kids participate. It was 78 teams. So if we're doing math, I know it's not everybody's strong suit, it's definitely mine. Each team practices 2 times a week with 1.5 hours each practice, and they have 1 game. The number of field hours is 390 hours per week is what is needed. Now we have 22 fields in total, 4 of which are high school, softball or baseball. They are not fields that can be played on for youth because the bases are too far apart, the mound is too far apart, it's not conducive for their play or helpful for their play. So those are off. So we have 18 fields available, 3 hours per day. Again, baseball is March, April, and May. It's after school hours. We have a minimum of 3 hours. Start time at 4:30, dusk is at least 7:30 or earlier, depending on when you're starting. 5 days a week, that's the weekday. Games are on the weekends. 6 game fields are available for us. Five games per field, that's a 10-hour day on Saturday or Sunday, 5 games in total, 2 weekends per day. And the slide, I don't know why this reconfigured wrong, that's 330 hours. That's today. John made mention, 77,000 people. We're already off sides. The math doesn't work for our kids at this point. This is a problem. But it's not just baseball. I think soccer is probably the worst. I don't have the numbers for soccer yet. I'm working on them. But believe me, it's worse than this. And the other thing that we have to understand, sports overlap each other. So even if it's your dedicated season, there are other teams that are practicing different sports and needing space. And while it feels like we have a lot of fields, we simply don't have enough for the kids today. We need to solve this problem today and also for tomorrow. John mentioned Facebook. It's been interesting. Seeing the fodder and what's happened. But clearing the air. Our club, again, has been on this mission for quite some time, trying to investigate and think through and look through the problems and how do we solve this. This was an original drawing. Do not shoot the person that did this. He did not quit his job. It was just sort of a visual to try to help people understand. It's not to scale. Don't talk about it because it's not really this field space that John's talking about. But the original vision was a multi-use, multi-generational, having an outdoor facility, preferably turf fields that can be used year-round, and an indoor facility that also can be used year-round for all different sports and include recreational opportunities, whether that's frisbee golf, a ropes course, a zip line, jogging trails, a playground, etc. And the other thing is, for those of you that have kids, birthday parties, do we even have access to great birthday venues or other things to go to? Chuck E. Cheese is not a great option. Right? The vision has been trying to have something else that we can bring our kids to be active and do something. That's kind of part of the original vision. We actually paid somebody to do an actual rendering to make it look more professional. This is kind of what it is. Again, this is not the field that we're proposing for this land. It's a concept that we started at. But we wouldn't be here without Raydient offering this incredible opportunity to us. Some of the research. This indoor facility, there was an incredible collaboration and partnership that was done in Centralia. While we're not going to try to recreate everything here, this is a vision that we would think or could visualize and see as far as the indoor facility goes. And because of this concept, we have a bigger and better opportunity that we don't necessarily have to do all today, but conceptually, if the land is there, and by the way, it has been very hard to find the land available for us, and we've been searching, I promise you, it's not easy to find. This is a heck of an opportunity to roll up our sleeves, work together with these guys do this for a living, and be able to collaborate and maybe potentially get land for little to no cost, to be able to get some of the traffic mitigation covered, some of the stormwater management professionals, all the things that John talked about earlier. that could be a huge savings to us on what we fundraise for, and that collaboration will cut everyone's costs. We really want your input, good or bad. We're not hiding anything. That's what we do. We try to build bridges through collaboration, through partnerships, businesses, nonprofits, whoever is willing and wanting to do this stuff. We want to know, and we have booths here tonight, we want your input. What else should we do in the mix? Some of the best ideas were a splash park, ice skate rink, a dog park, outdoor laser tag, a pool. That was the single biggest request, and continues to be the single biggest request. Well, guess what? I think we might have that solution for a pool. So with that, I think, is that what you wanted, John?
Yeah, Scott.
So I'm going to bring Scott and Charlie. They are here to represent, again, we're asking you 3 questions. They're here representing the YMCA. So with that, I want to be Scott.
Hello, 98370. It's good to be here. The YMCA of Pierce and Kitsap counties, or as I like to call it, the YMCA of Kitsap and Pierce counties. I'm a Kitsap guy. I'm here to tell you about YMCA and our community impact. Everybody knows the YMCA and what we do out in the community as far as the programs that we provide, the sports that we offer the kids. We're known as America's swim instructor. But what you may not know about our association in particular, as well as some other fun facts I'd like to share with you about who we are, is really important. First and foremost, I want to point out that we are a nonprofit organization. A nonprofit organization dedicated to strengthening communities. So I'm not going to bore you with a lot of talk about our programming. That can speak for itself. I can bring you all kinds of data points regarding that, but I'm here to talk with you about what we do to bring communities together, to serve, to spark youth development, and to bring a rallying point, hopefully, to North Kitsap. 140 years we've been in this region. 140 years this year we've been active, and we have 9 community centers currently that we oversee, 2 camps, and we also do dozens of programs that are outside of walls, such as child care sites, teen programs, and more. So that's just a little bit about us, but I really want to kind of give you a look under the hood, so to speak. Every dollar that comes to the YMCA through membership, through donations, that goes right back into the community. Every single dollar, without hesitation, and more if we have it. Our fundraising efforts, our annual fundraising efforts, are focused on access. I want to talk about community impact from an access standpoint, as well as some programs that you might not know about. What we do as far as access is we provide financial assistance or outright free scholarship memberships to people who need it. We don't ever want to turn anybody away who wants access to the Y, or any kids who want to get into sports and their parents can't afford it. This is what we do. And our programs, they go well beyond what comes to mind when you think of the YMCA. Beyond sports, beyond wellness, beyond fitness. Of course we have that as well. But from an access standpoint, last year we gave out over $2.5 million worth of financial assistance and scholarships to over 11,000 members last year. We gave over 1,300 kids free access, kids in foster care, free access, free memberships, and that's a huge youth development opportunity. 1 of 5 campers that are in our programs, they get financial assistance. We have summer day camps starting this week, and that's both for overnight camps as well as our day camps. 1 in 3 kids who are in our child care programs or before and after school programs, they also receive financial assistance. and that's funded through our fundraising efforts. 165 members in the Poulsbo area are currently receiving financial assistance. This week we also launched, or I should say relaunched, a program that we're well known for, and that is Teen Late Night. Yeah. Teen Late Night. It's back. In its heyday in the late 2010s, we served between 1,500 and 2,000 kids every week with free access so that teens have a safe and wholesome place where they can go play sports, hang out with their friends, play games. And so we're really happy that this has relaunched, and we're going to have late night right down the road at the Hazelwood Family Wine, Silverdale. Another program that you might not know about is our Safety Around Water. Again, we're America's swim instructors. I can tell you we served nearly 47,000 participants, mostly kids, in swim lessons last year. But the Safety Around Water program is a specific program which is run remarkably down at our Bremerton YMCA. It's focused on drowning prevention. There are 2 kids every day in the U.S. that die from drowning. And 88% of the time, that's under adult supervision. We are surrounded by natural bodies of water, and it's really important for us to be able to teach our kids this. This is also baked into our swim lessons too, this type of curriculum. But this particular program, we've seen 0 drownings in Kitsap County since 2017. The Kitsap County sheriff called that out and cited us for that. So that was great. We also provide a shower access program. People who are finding themselves in a housing insecurity situation or outright homelessness, they have a place where they can come. They know that they can come, they can take a shower, they can get ready for a job interview, they can gain some self-respect, also hugely important. Very well supervised, safety comes first, but that's another program that we currently offer. And then our healthy living programs are something that doesn't get a lot of attention, so I just wanted to call this out. Chronic disease management and chronic disease prevention. We offer a number of programs that are focused in on diabetes, weight loss, preventing heart disease. The Live Strong program was one that I decided to call out in the slide because I only have so much time and so many bullets, so the Live Strong program is for people who are trying to survive cancer. And we were able to measure a 33% reduction in perceived pain for the patients who participated in that program last year. And lastly, from a community impact standpoint, I want to call out our camps. These are iconic locations. Camp Seymour, there's probably a person in this room who went to Camp Seymour. It's been around since 1907. We served over 1,000 campers last year. But one of the reasons I really wanted to call this out, because I know there are people that either have gone to Camp Seymour or in this room, or know somebody or have sent their own kids, is that we inspire and empower every camper to make environmentally sound decisions today and every day. That's baked into our philosophy there. Our marquee program out at Camp Seymour is the Outdoor Environmental Education Program. This program is taking off. We served over 123 schools last year and nearly 10,000 student participants. And this focuses on sustainability, this focuses on habitat protection, and it offers classes on marine science, wildlife ecosystem. It's immersive. The kids are out in the environment, learning about the environment, and learning to love the environment. Not from a book, not from a screen. And this has been a huge hit, to tell you the truth. And our director will be out at the table. His name is Scott Jerson. He's here with us tonight if you have specific questions. The YMCA is a friend for the environment. So now I'm going to bore you briefly with a market data report. We did a market data study in 2016 for the Paulsbo area. We refreshed it for 2023. We're now going to expand that effort into all the zip codes that make up North Kitsap. But I wanted to share a few key takeaways. We asked people if there was a Y, how likely would you be to use it? And 66% said they're very likely. And we also saw a big increase out of not likely into somewhat likely, and if you add those both together, it's well over 80% would be likely to use a YMCA here in the 98370. How convenient is the location? We didn't ask this in 2016 because we didn't really have a location, but we asked the question, and over 75% said very convenient to convenient. And John showed you the map before, that this would be a centralized access point. So it seems like there's strong interest. So how many, I wanted to say member households, we kept dropping into the last line, so I called it member units. These are households that are currently in North Kitsap that are YMCA members. Multiply this number by 2.5, and that's how many members you already have here that are YMCA members that are driving to Silverdale, that are driving to Bremerton, that are driving to Gig Harbor. So that's how many members we have currently. 2,500 of which are in Paulsbo. How many do we project with this study? Without knowing how many of the 3,203 would convert to the North Kitsap, an additional 5,530 we project would join this YMCA when it opened up. So again, do the math on that, and that's how many total members you would see. So I think it's important to point out that the interest in a North Kitsap YMCA is strong. The YMCA that would come to support you and serve you here in North Kitsap would be strong. We have a lot of experience, and we take this work very seriously, especially from a community impact standpoint. And so at this moment, I'd like to introduce who's celebrating his 40th anniversary this year at the YMCA. 40! Is that it? Okay. So John, how much room do I have?
The whole room, Dave.
The whole room! No, I see, I'm a member of the John Rose fan club. That's why I'm here. And the reason is because John is a visionary. You picked that up, or you know John. In fact, the first 30 people I met walking in worked for John. But John Rose is a visionary. And this is the best part of my job, is to come into a new community and see what's possible. What could a YMCA be for this community? You know, when I came to the Northwest 40 years ago, I walked into a Y in Tacoma that had been open for 6 years. And it was electric. There was a buzz in the community. You could see that it meant something to be a Y member. And the people said that John Morgan built that Y. John was the CEO at the time. And John would say, no. And he would list people, Lloyd Silver, John Woodworth, Paul Anderson. He said those were the people who built the Y. Those were volunteer leaders. And John would say all you need is people who are passionate about their community. That's who you need to build a Y. The Hazelwood Y started like this. Norm McLaughlin is he's from Kitsap Housing at the time, is on a treadmill on a Saturday morning at the Gig Harbor Y. And the place was jamming. And he's right next to a guy who was my boss at the time. And he said,
Y in Kitsap County. And he goes talk to Josh Brown. And he talks to Ron Ross and Joanne Hazelwood. And there's a YMCA groundswell. And when it opened, within a few years, there's 20,000 people that are members of the Hazelwood Y in Silverdale. I remember standing in front of the Y, and a person says, where did all these people come from? That same statement is made every time they open a new Y. Where did all these people go before there was a Y? I was in the pool area giving a tour, and I watched this woman walk out on the pool deck, and she had a walker, and she walked right into the zero-entry pool, up into the water. And I watched her face, and I went, wow, she couldn't have done that without a zero-entry pool. And the healing, and she was smiling. That's transformation. See, a woman came into my Y last week, into my office, excuse me. I think my office is the Y. But she walked into my office and handed me a check for $157. She comes in every year at the same time, gives me a check for $157. And she says the same thing. This is to honor my father. See, I knew her father. He was the first person who joined downtown Tacoma in 1983 when I was there. Larry was a great guy, and as I got to know Larry, he shared his story. And his story was this. As a 9-year-old boy living in Everett, just he and his mom, his friends were part of Y's summer day camp. But Larry couldn't afford to go to summer day camp. But someone anonymously paid for his summer membership, and he got to be part of day camp. In fact, he got to be part of day camp every summer up in Everett till he was in high school for $157 every year. Larry, right when his daughter came in to give me the check for $157, she was continuing his legacy that he gave every year as an adult to the Y, so a young person could go to day camp like he did. That someone paid for him and he was paying it forward. I've seen thousands of stories of Larry's throughout my time. Thousands of stories of transformation, what the Y does in people's lives. I've drank the Kool-Aid. I know what the Y does. But tonight isn't about me. Tonight is your story. It's your visioning, and what does the Y mean for you and the families that you know? Is the Y part of your story? I'm here just to pose that question, because I believe in what the Y does. So thank you for the opportunity to share about the Y and share about a dream that may be what your family wants. So thank you, God bless you all.
I was stuck in an elevator with Charlie. It was hard. It was hard. It was really hard. He did this. So a story about Charlie. He called, instead of Jennifer J. Lo, he calls me J. Rowe. And we have been friends for a long time. And he came into my office once, and he doesn't open the door, blows the door open. He goes, J. Rowe! And all of my staff went under their desk. Because they've been trained what to do if there's a shooter. So, he's a great person, and the Y is an amazing organization. And it's not an accident that they're here, because we partnered with the Y down in Gig Harbor, and we helped bring the YMCA into our project in Gig Harbor. And so I've been friends with these guys forever, and there's no organization that does what the Y does for families. So we didn't have one. My kids missed out on that. They never left Camp Seymour. They're still there. And, you know, we're skinny. Okay, so the question is, you know, we gotta wrap this into a theme. It's gotta have its own name so we can refer to it instead of like the thing over there on the road. And so, okay. This is the working name. It doesn't have to be that, but I kind of like it. And it goes along with the string of pearls, which is North Kitsap United. And the idea is this is right in the middle. This is a chance for Kingston and Paulsbo to work together without beating each other up. And for Hansville and for Suquamish and Indianola, there's a common meeting ground to help build North Kitsap as one community. And it's going to take one community with everybody being involved to pull this off. And so I like this idea of uniting because what we're doing is really bringing together communities. And that's what the Pearls hope to do with trails. But now we got a place. So somebody from Hansville can be on a workout bike next to somebody from like Port Gamble. We got real people in Port Gamble. They're not just museum people. We're going to bring organizations together like we did for the String of Pearls because none of us can do this alone. We need the City of Paulsbo. We need everybody who can make a contribution to throw in if this is going to happen. And we're going to bring activities together. Is anybody, I heard a rumor that pickleball is dying in North Kitsap. Is that true? Are there any pickleballers out there? We are a crazy group, and they brought their paddles. Officer Fenton? But think about it. We were kids. My wife and I raised 3 kids, and 3 kids in soccer. It's like you're running here and there, running here and there. And guess what you don't have in between all that? A bathroom. You run to this part of the county, to that part of the county. You know what else you don't have? You don't have a place to eat in between. And, although, you know, there's always snacks, which is why my kids joined. But you know, we have made a rezone application because the Y needs it. And I think there should be some kind of small restaurant there for in-between activities so people can meet up at the Y for a cup of coffee or a bite to eat. So that's the goal. And the rezone application also allows for more homes. Everybody's favorite. People hate people that live in new homes. They're like the kiss of death. They're hairless, fleshy pink things, and we don't want any more of them. To be honest with you, the 20-acre lots are very hard to beat. Just bring the truck. No, they're just worth a lot. And, you know, we're going to need to get creative because otherwise the land's going to 20 families. But it's still got to make it work. We still got to make it work for a company because that's who I work for. What else? I mean, the sky's the limit to dream, to bring ideas. It costs nothing to send us an idea. And this could be your place, your downtown North Kitsap. It's not going to be an urban growth area. No worries. We don't need to be an urban growth area. We don't want to be an urban growth area. But we want the place to function as well as possible, and you gotta have some food service. You just gotta have it. So, but, you know, there's pickleball across the country is blowing up. I don't know if you noticed. But there's actually an outfit in one of our Florida projects called the Pickle Bar. And it's crazy pickleballers meet there and they socialize and stuff with paddles and nuts. But what else could be there? Oh, certainly you have ideas to contribute. Certainly. like a bite after the game, like without driving miles. And right down the road is the Hood Canal Brewery. How about a beer after the game, baby? Okay, now we're at this part, getting serious again. I have to know. I gotta know. So, first of all, somebody asked me, well, I still don't understand what the project is. Okay, so the project is gonna be down near the intersection of Stottlemyre and Bond Road, because that's where there's highway access. For the Rotary and athletic fields, I don't know how many will physically fit there, but maybe there'll be 20 acres of baseball, football, and probably 40 acres of pickleball. That's what I'm talking about. So is it 20 acres, 30 acres? It's just whatever this community needs. And it's not for my kids and grandkids. It's not for me. They're gone. They didn't have this. They're messed up. It's for your family. And there is not a developer on the planet, 0 developers that ever said, oh my God, are we gonna make money on those fields? They aren't a for-profit, but we gotta put our heads together so that the company wins and you win, and your kids win and your grandkids win. And we don't have to worry about this in North Kitsap for another 50 years. We'll set the land aside. So at this point, I need to know where we stand, where Clint stands and Charlie. I know you guys like those guys better. How do you not like Charlie Davis? Did you guess that Charlie Davis is not from the Northwest? He just said more words than every one of you combined together in a month. Many words from Charlie, and they're all full of love. They're all full of love. So this is what we're going to do. If you're kind of negatively inclined at this point, and like, this is too much, this is the wrong place, I don't really like kids, whatever the reason, it just doesn't feel good to you, I'm going to ask you to stand, not yet, hold on your seat. I'm going to ask you to stand up so I can see. And then, on the count of 3, you're going to yell, no. Okay? For the rest of you who might be positively inclined, and I have no idea, I need you to stand up. And when I count to 3, I need you to yell, in your biggest voice, yes. Because I don't have any idea, and it would just to go through permitting, we'd be out about $1 million. I'm not doing that based on anything Charlie says. Okay? Is that all right? No. All right. All right. Jeez. All right. The meat. The meat. There is no plan. Here's the meat and potatoes. Here's the meat and potatoes. 20 acres to 40 acres of fields. Once we have wetlands, we can map the fields. But I can't map the fields until I know where the wetlands are.
How many acres of development?
I don't know. Right now, we got room for 20 homes.
No!
Hold it. Hundreds of roundabouts. Okay, now, I gave a simple instruction. Stand. 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 These are the no's. Thanks, Kevin. All right, no's. I understand there's no plan. There will be a plan. We don't have a site plan. The idea that we should at least go to the next meeting, spend money on site plans.
How are you going to get around the growth management act? How are you going to improve traffic on Bond? How are you
Then vote no, sir. Just vote no. Vote no.
A project when you haven't told them anything about how to do it.
Time out. Time out. Officer Fenton is getting upset. When we did the string of pearls, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
You need to listen to them.
We're not doing that. We're asking people to come up. When we did the string of pearls at that meeting, I had no plan. I had no plan. And it happened.
Because that was the preservation plan.
Not at the beginning.
So let folks come up and talk to you. Did you present why the YMCA is so great? No one disputes the YMCA. Colesville asked for a YMCA. The YMCA said no. They wouldn't support a YMCA in North Kitsap. Why has that changed in the last 5 years? Why is moving it out to Haynesville better? Or out to Kingston better?
Sir, you're gonna have to wait your turn, like all everybody else here. Do you guys want to re-vote your no? You can.
Let people ask their questions.
All right. Everybody who is, I'm not asking for a project endorsement because there's no details. But do you like the idea of having a central location where if we can mitigate traffic, if we can mitigate wetlands, everybody who thinks they're positively inclined, stand up if you're positively inclined. Can we do this? Can we do this? Let's do it! All right, June 12th, here, July 12th, by the way, here is www.northkitsap.com. Go to the tables in the back, sign up to be involved, support NKTA, support the Y, and thank you all for coming out.